What's up and welcome to the Kind of Funny Gamescast. As always, I'm Tim Gettys, joined by one of the coolest dudes in video games who's already laughing going into this, Greg Miller. What's going on, Greg?
What episode of the Gamescast is this?
Good Lord, who knows?
That kid in the YouTube comments always knows. He always does it. I think we're in the 60s right now. And all it took was a little more than 60 episodes for Blessing to give up, to throw in the towel and say he can't do Bless Who because he can't come up with it. So I'm over here and I'm making up gems for the post show, son.
Oh, no.
Y'all get ready. You're in my world now.
Oh, no.
Great. I always hate when Greg's like, it can't be that hard. He's going to take it on himself. It's like, what's going to happen here? I am a little bit worried, but I'm glad to have this man by my side, the new face of video games, Blessing Adeoye Jr.
I'm really excited to see what Greg comes up with, because as somebody who's been doing this Bless Who shit for a while, like I've hit a wall where like Bless Who isn't over. I'm still gonna do them when I have time to do them. It just takes way more effort nowadays to like dig deep into the internet trenches to find titles of games that fit with other titles of games, and that'll create a fun prompt. And so I'm excited to see what bullshit Greg Miller is able to cook up in this kitchen.
I just want to know like where his mind starts. Like, does he go to the Wikipedia page for Vita games and like look at them all? And like,
I'll let you know they're all starting from the exact same spot, and I'm excited to share it with you afterwards.
They're all going to be the dumbest easy platinums.
All right, Andy. First off, don't start. You're already on my shit list.
Titles that nobody's heard of, dude.
You're hearing is the Nitro Rifle, Andy Cortez.
Why am I on your shit list?
Twitter gives me the function to put out voice tweets, and the only two I do are to you. And do you even respond or acknowledge them? No, you don't. That's embarrassing for both of us. That's embarrassing for both of us.
Another. I mean, are you tagging at Maximum Cortez?
It's because I'm
Twitter now.
It's because I'm streaming, and then all of my chat says, Andy, don't check Twitter. It's not worth it. It is not worth it. And I go, and it's Greg talking about God knows what, in addition to the other 6 fucking voice memos that I have on Instagram. And I got to assume that he's in a fugue state. He's unconscious. He doesn't even know he's doing these things.
Andy, it's Greg on Twitter, and I just want to let you know that you let me down, all right? Twitter gives me this amazing functionality to be able to tweet my voice. I tweet twice at you last night about your little jacket. You don't fucking respond either time? What is wrong with you?
First he tells me to wear my little jacket, and then the second reply is, Andy, you know exactly what jacket I'm talking about. I don't know what he's talking about.
Don't fucking play coy with us. We know you know.
Describe the jacket, Greg.
It's either I want the navy one or the gray one, the little members only kind of one, the little windbreakers he wears. You know what I mean?
A little jacket. I also love that Greg Miller's the only human being in the world that is like, hey, you know, everyone's like least favorite function of like phones and communication, voice messages. Like, let's make sure. How do we translate voicemail to Twitter?
Y'all know I don't listen to my voicemails, and I don't want to talk to any on the phone. You know what I mean? A text, that's where it's at. But for some reason, Twitter voice, that's the jam. That's what you're putting out right there.
This is the quality content.
How many? How many?
That's just one.
Now, for the record, that was That was an Instagram DM. All right.
Where did you take that from?
That's a different thing than what I'm bringing in Twitter.
Were you in an arena?
We're in the Instagram DMs right now, everybody.
Andy, it's Greg. This King Kong, we might not have given him enough credit. Stand by. He could be the threat. He could be more of a threat than we thought.
I was watching King Kong movie, the one where he fights Godzilla.
Is that also the time that you tweeted, you know, Godzilla and Portillo more alike than we think?
I might have been watching. I think I was watching a Godzilla movie back then. Interview gets it going. Blessing, you're sitting there right now, and you don't know what's going on, right? But think of it this way: my mind, fertile soil. Someone drops a blueberry, and then, there it is. I've grown a blueberry bush, and all of a sudden,
fertile soil.
My mind.
I don't think that's how blueberry bushes work.
I don't even know blueberries grow on bushes.
I don't think you plant the blueberry.
Episode. I'm telling you right now.
They come from seeds.
Because there's an energy that is going to translate perfectly into our topic of the show. Because this is the Kind of Funny Gamescast where each and every week we get together to talk about video games and all the things that we love about them. You can get the show early. That means live when we record it on patreon.com/kindoffunnygames, just like our Patreon producers, the nanobiologist, Tyler Ross, Joy, Joseph Yusuf, Trent Berry, Mizuki, Man Bear Paradox, Julian the Gluten-Free Gamer, Alex J. Sandoval, Sancho West Gaming, James Hastings, Elliot, and Casey, Kern have done. We appreciate all of you so very, very much. If you don't want to pay us, that's cool. We're free on youtube.com/kindoffunnygames and roosterteeth.com. And if you want to listen to us, just search your favorite podcast service for Kinda Funny Games Cast. We're brought to you today by Candid, Purple Mattress and Honey. But I'm going to tell you about that later. Greg, what I need to know. I
forgot that we were live. So I was like, I got to go see what people are saying. And look at Cameron Kennedy knew immediately. It's the gray jacket. He knew the little jacket I was talking about, Andy.
Andy, get in the little jacket.
Your own wardrobe, man. Put on the little jacket. The stream wants it. Poggers.
The stream wants it. Good one. All right. You guys, I need all of you to cleanse your minds and settle down.
How, Tim?
Because we're about to, we need to shift gears and to get into a different type of crazy vibe, all right? Because today, we're going to start not with what we've been playing, but we're going to start with a little listener mail. And there's a reason for this. You go to patreon.com/kindoffunnygames to write in your Gamescast questions, just like Joey Broey did.
Joey!
And now Joey Broey is the true inspiration to us all, and you'll find out why after I read you this. Yo, you Snazburgers haven't just done straight up listener mail like wham bam thank you ma'am in a hot minute. You finna get extra freezy this week on the cast? Audience questions all the way from the tippy top to that big fat ass. Don't let me down, Tim.
Fantastic.
So Joey Broey, guess what? We're doing listener mail all the way from the tippy top down to that fat ass.
I love it.
What the hell, man? Like, what are you on that gets you there?
I appreciate people who are the Shakespeare of our time and have fun with the words. You know what I mean? Anybody can just spit them out over there and not wear little jackets. It takes a true artiste to go and get magical with it. You know what I mean?
Here we go.
I feel like I just watched the kid do the Disney Channel thing. You know?
This motherfucker dropped Snazburgers and finna in the same thing. One legitimate slang. One Greg Miller's weird shit. Like, is Greg Miller Joey Broey? I don't even know. I will never know.
No, I would never hide my name.
That is true. Just like the certified gamer boy. If the Switch Pro rumors are true, who would and wouldn't buy one? And why? Blessing. Let's start with you.
Oh, I'm buying it for sure. Yeah. Like, I mean, to give the most serious answer, like, well, it was last fall, right, that we got Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity. And getting a PS5, playing on my PS5, and it was October going into November, and then trying to pick up Age of Calamity and playing the first few levels and going, this is painful for me to actually play. Like, it is painful for me to watch how few frames per second this thing can generate. And like seeing all this action from on screen from like a game series in an art style that I love, but just isn't performing. That alone makes me want to get a Switch Pro, let alone like the fact that you imagine that, we're going to get Breath of the Wild 2 developed for it. We're going to get the eventual next 3 Mario developed for it. Like, I think there's so much a Switch Pro can bring to the table in terms of taking the Switch library we already have and the future games that are come out for the Switch library and actually making it feel like a more acceptable way to play, given that we just got next-gen consoles that are pushing tech to the limit.
Greg Miller.
Blessing Adeoye Jr. It's me, Greg Miller from kindoffunny.com.
What's up,
The rumor is that only the new games would benefit from the Switch Pro, Switch big screen, whatever you want to call it, the benefits of it. So do you think that hampers it? Because you're talking about, you said both old and new games to it.
That
do you think
sucks.
that it matters enough, or is it just playing the current games we have on a bigger screen would be cool enough?
That sucks if there would be no improvements whatsoever for a Switch Pro. I find that hard to
I don't fully
believe.
buy it. Does it? Tim Gettys from kindoffunny.com. You have a question, Reese?
Now, here's what you're forgetting about, the Nintendo tax. This means that they can just re-release the old games again with new features.
Sure.
Oh, please, no.
Super
If you-
Smash
my save
Brothers
carry over?
Ultimist.
Breath of the Wild
your saves are
UHD
probably
edition.
That sounds terrible.
That
sounds like a crime that Nintendo has gotten away with before in the
Many
past. So
times.
that sounds
Andy,
many
do the
times,
thing. Do
and
the
I buy
line.
it every time.
Do the line?
The Jesse Pinkman line.
They can't keep getting away with it.
That was good. I thought you were gonna say something about like bitch or whatever. Like,
Science, bitch.
science, bitch.
Dude, that sucks. I didn't know that was even a rumor about older titles.
I'm not wrong,
working.
right? That's right. No. Not. I'm sorry. Not that older titles wouldn't work.
No.
It's that they wouldn't-
Totally.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah. Just the fact that older titles won't be getting the benefits of this new NVIDIA chip that is apparently going to be utilizing DLSS and making, just making shit a lot more efficient. That makes me so sad. I've been looking forward to this future.
That was gonna be my question, because I could have sworn in the rumors in there somewhere. I mean, I saw the mention of DLSS, and Andy and Tim, I think you guys know better than me. Like, can DLSS work for games that aren't that don't have it implemented at development? Like, you need to take a random game, add DLSS, and then it naturally.
I don't think
add it, but it doesn't just. It's not just an option that just would be all of a sudden
works.
there that you can do. Yeah.
That's why when some games at launch, I think they sign deals with NVIDIA and say, hey, we have this game has DLSS technology. Take advantage of it. You'll get it'll look super high res and you'll get incredible frame rates.
This is the thing that, like, Breath of the Wild 1, you go into the Lost Woods or you go into the Lanayru Forest or whatever they're called, right? You go into those heavy foresty areas and the game starts to chug. It would be a crime, like an absolute crime, if I played that game on a Switch Pro and those areas still chugged.
So
like, I would hope that at the very least that would be fixed.
I got the article I'm referencing from Bloomberg, March 22nd, 2021. Nintendo used faster NVIDIA chips in new 2021 Switch model, right? I'm going to jump into it, obviously. They've already been talking about NVIDIA's deep learning super sampling. The U.S. company's new chipset will also bring a better CPU and increased memory. DLSS support will require new code to be added to games, so it'll primarily be used to improve graphics on upcoming titles, said the people, including multiple game developers. So that's what we're talking about going forward, not backwards with it.
But I do think though, Blessing, that the old titles will still get a benefit in the way that when PS5 and Xbox Series X come out and you play the old games that don't have the PS5 versions, the current gen versions or whatever, you saw a bit of an increase and a bit of a performance boost there, just because the CPU is better and the GPU is better. But I still think if you hop into those heavily crowded areas in Breath of the Wild with all the crazy wind and leaves blowing everywhere, I think you will see some performance boost. I don't think it's just going to be the exact same.
Because that's the exact thing I mean.
Wording there too, because they talk about improving graphics, not performance, right? For future titles.
Yeah,
correct.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Honestly, at this point, though, these rumors are all over the place that we don't know what it's going to end up being. But if I had to bet, I do think that they are grounded in some type of reality where not all games are just going to inherently benefit from this stuff. But I do think that Nintendo will have a combination of re-releasing old games that are like really optimized. Like, I think we're going to see a Smash complete collection with all the DLC put out as a thing that has all these boosts and stuff. I do think that there's a good chance we'll see a Breath of the Wild re-release at some point with these added things. But this is the first time Nintendo's had a infrastructure to have patches at all, and they utilize those patches, both with DLC and with just updating the game and fixing things. So I wouldn't be surprised if they looked at a handful of titles and did have some type of upgrade, like Switch Pro patch for them, like the Enhanced for X program that Xbox had last generation. And I can see them charging for that, honestly, but I can also see them giving it for free. I wouldn't be surprised if the Switch Pro itself came with something where it's like you get Breath of the Wild, Mario Odyssey, and I don't know, one other big game. The patches come with it, and that's a part of their big push, because I don't think that they're going to have that many titles ready to show it off otherwise. So I think it will be a big selling factor for them to talk about how it enhances the old games. And I definitely think the Lost Woods scene in Zelda is going to be heavily shown to explain the differences between why people that have had a Switch since 2017 need this Switch Pro.
That would make me feel a lot better about it because I don't need them to make a big deal. I don't need unless they packaged it really smartly, that made me go, okay, maybe I'll get it. If they did like Breath of the Wild Complete Edition or some shit like that, that made me go, okay, I'm getting DLC and maybe an extra skin or something to go along with the fact that it's taking advantage of the Switch Pro. Cool, I'm down for that. What I would prefer is if the Switch Pro doesn't automatically mean better performance out of every game that we got on the Switch, at least let it be the case that if we get the Switch Pro, or when we get the Switch Pro, we get a patch does get pushed for Breath of the Wild and Mario Odyssey and the big Nintendo games that we care about, and we're probably going to go back to Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, that allows those games to perform somewhat better, whether it be actual performance in the Lost Woods and other crowded areas, and stuff like when you're playing it on TV, the actual resolution like gets boosted, because I think the rumors say that the next Switch is going to be 4K, right? Like, is that still
correct?
The running
Docked.
thing?
Yeah, but that's usually where DLSS takes
comes into play.
Comes into play. Yeah, because DLSS again lets you just run things at a higher resolution, but it's really like 720p, and then they use AI to make it look 4K, and it's still super sharp and looks gorgeous. But that's how they're able to get better performance out of it.
Yeah, when I see Breath of the Wild on Switch now, I still see those jaggies.
Oh, 1000%. I've been wanting a Switch Pro forever. I mean, ever since I remember like E3 2 years ago or something like that. I remember just recording what we thought our predictions were going to be, even come wintertime. What are the Game Awards predictions going to be? We've been talking about the Switch Pro forever. It's a little bit weirder now, although I think once we are back traveling in a more consistent way, that's where I'll care. But it's definitely gotten to the point where I fired up Hades when Hades released on Switch, and it's like, even docked, the UI clearly is like 720p and the letters look very blurry. Let me just download the game on PC.
I don't think it's 720 docked. It's 1080 docked, but it
still
looks blurry as shit.
Well,
maybe it does not look good at all.
Yeah, maybe the actual gameplay is better, but the UI did not look 1080. The UI looked very blurry and kind of rastered around the edges, And so I've just been playing everything on PC whenever I can. But yeah, for sure. I mean, I'm a tech geek like you, Tim. I love all the latest and greatest when it comes to better display. I guess the display is still rumored to be 720, right? But it'll be OLED apparently.
Yeah, which honestly, that's fine. With it being that small and all that, that stuff's cool. It's just when it's docked, it needs to be 4K. And I'm okay even with the DLSS stuff as long as it looks good. Because the Switch docked right now for a lot of the UI stuff, even just the Switch menu itself is just so tough to look at when we are also playing on PS5s and Xbox Series X's, and it's on the same screen, whatever the screen is. It's oh man, damn, I want this to look so much better than it does.
It's definitely rough. Do you think when we get the new Switch dock, do you think that's when they finally let us download themes?
God, I want themes so bad.
I don't. I really don't.
What a neglected section of the.
Do you still want that, Barrett? Does that still hold a place for you?
Yeah, I love opening up I was talking about this this morning with Gary of when we were talking about bringing games over Ocarina of Time and stuff to the Switch. The reason I still have my 2DS XL is to play Ocarina of Time, Majora's Mask, and WarioWare and shit like that. And I love opening it up, and I've got the Breath of the Wild theme, and it brings up the music and some nice Zelda background like that. I want that for my Switch so badly.
I don't even necessarily.
What I like about it not having backgrounds is I think it's a statement to what the Switch is, and especially where they're we haven't put Netflix on it, we haven't put Hulu on it. Is that still the fact? I don't even remember.
No, Hulu's on it.
Hulu is on it.
All right, whatever. But we're not trying to compete with all the different entertainment apps and stuff like that. This is a machine to play games, which means you turn it on and you go to the big.
Which is fine, but let me customize the colors or something.
Black or white. You get black or white.
Black background.
There's the fact that there's options at all. It's there's so few options in the Switch's UI that the fact that one of the options is themes and there's only two.
Yeah,
that's kind of lame.
Yeah. Also, make
just
themes
for how long
PS5 as well. I miss them.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
I like the PSP themes. Even it's all the same shit, just different colors. Just love that shit. And again, it's just that it's an option. If it wasn't even an option, it'd be whatever. I don't care.
What's going to be the first thing you pop in when you get that Switch Pro? Is it going to be Breath? Let me just say that's not Breath of the Wild. Let me say it's not Breath of the Wild 2 is not out yet, and I have sent an armed guard to your house, and you cannot play Breath of the Wild the first time. You have to play a different game. Okay? Yeah. He's looking at you. He's you better not put Breath of the Wild in there.
He's put on your little jacket.
I'm hoping it's whatever's new coming alongside it. I don't think they're going to launch this thing without some new Nintendo title.
Yeah, they need something to show off the
showcase piece.
Yeah.
Here's
that's been part of the reports. They're going to launch with a slate of new games, whatever that counts as.
I have to imagine, we were talking about at the top of the show here, that no matter what, you hope it comes with some kind of internal boost that's going to help load times on old Switch games or something like that. And so, not knowing the lineup, you're not knowing what you're jumping into. For me, it would be Animal Crossing, because I'd want to see how quick the load times are, if there's an update to that, and if you're getting to the island faster, if you're getting to the action faster.
Yeah, okay. And that would be a lot easier for you to compare and contrast.
Yes. Very long loads.
Because I'm struggling to come up with an example of load times being an issue in any of the games that I can think of.
Let me grab my Switch. Hold on.
I'll Smash or whatever it is. But yeah, I mean that'd be huge. You know, like it's that little quality of life stuff that I think a Switch Pro is really going to be super useful for, as well as enabling big giant games. Metroid Prime 4, hopefully.
Just say like maybe not even load the newest version of. Oh, look at that
little Ghostbuster Switch case, huh? I like that one.
Maybe not even up-resing the textures or whatever, but I want higher reses. I definitely want the crispier edges. Things just always look so fuzzy, you know.
Yeah.
Moving on from this, while Greg checks
Barrett,
out
on my call, start the time. Start the timer. All right.
Oh yeah, hold on. Wait, oh God, I'm not ready. I'm not ready.
I gotta hold on. There's a system update. There's a system update. So, update
all right. Well, I have the timer up now. So whenever you're ready,
got it.
I got
Thank
it.
Thank you.
JungleJ writes in and says, Forge mode in Halo is awesome. Creative mode in Fortnite is extremely robust. What other franchises and series would benefit most from a Forge creative type mode? I've never been a big creator when it comes to these things. Like even obviously Tony Hawk's my franchise, and like that's one of the originators when it comes to create a skater, create a park, create a trick, like all that stuff. And I was never down.
Yeah,
skater I was into, but not the.
I'll never forget create a park being the thing that was just like, holy shit, we can make our own parks, and we did it for maybe a couple days, and then just moved on or tried playing other people's parks. All right, Greg is about to hit play. In 3,
2, 1, go. Okay. Boom. I mean, keep talking. It's gonna take black screen. It'll be what we're doing here. It's getting.
What am I stopping at when you get into
You're gonna
gameplay?
stop. Yeah, you're gonna stop. I'm gonna be on the ball as fast as possible for hitting to actually start the game. Okay. But when we actually get to, I'm on my island and I.
Oh, is it really this long?
Yeah, and like keep in mind, this is just loading the. Tim, is there a better way to get it to not be all out of focus?
I don't know.
On the camera?
I think it's focusing on its reflection of itself.
Yeah.
Like it sees the camera and it's focusing on that.
Once the actual game loads up, it'll be better, I think.
I am shocked at how long this is. I don't think I've ever seen this screen this long.
I know. This is wild.
What the shit?
I mean, there's a lot of stuff in there, man. There's a lot of fucking.
Bro, I think your Switch is broken. Like I don't.
Is this not how everybody's Animal Crossing loads? No, there was some comparisons.
There we go. Things
I was scared for
it's being updated, but so I mean, you can shave off a couple seconds there if you want. Don't worry about it. But there, keep it going because I'm talking about to actually playing on my island. Right. Because even once you get in here, you're not there. See, now it's loading more.
Jesus,
damn, this is ridiculous.
This is why I don't close Animal Crossing.
You're not like showing any like addresses or anything in that reflection.
Yeah, like you have a lot of tabs open.
This is a PSN trophy list. Don't worry about it. And the rest of my tabs are too small now, but I understand.
Okay. How many times did you
more
be on Twitter?
Important.
Again, I was in the middle of something before I had to come in and save Bless Who, so now don't worry about what I'm doing over there.
Save Bless Who.
Oh, I see what's going on here.
Blessing, do you have any answer for this question here about what game you'd want to see a Forge creative mode in?
Not really. Like I'm not a creative person in that sense. Like I'm similar to you where I used Tony Hawk Pro Skater create a level every now and then, specifically in Tony Hawk Pro Skater 3. But even with that, I didn't go too crazy with it. And so I guess like I would like if they added it to Apex, I would fuck around with it, especially because right now Apex is solely finally loaded in.
No, I'm talking about playing the game. I'm not into the game yet. Now I'm loading the game.
That can't be right. Right? Like I don't play Animal Crossing. This can't be right.
It did have an update, so we can't.
I'll shut it down and do it again after this if you want, Andy. Go put on your jacket.
Point is made.
Put on your little jacket.
Put on your little jacket, Andy.
We're having fun here, guys.
But so like Apex, is solely like battle royale and then like the training mode or whatever. I would love if they gave us the
cut
option.
It now. There you go.
There it is.
2 minutes and 32 seconds.
Wow,
that seemed like
insane.
10 minutes. That seemed like 10 minutes.
That felt very long.
Now, if you want, I'll cut you back out, Andy. I'll do mine. We'll
do another test here.
Bless, I think you're making a great point with Apex, similar to what Fortnite did with the yard. No, what do they call it?
Creative
block.
mode.
The block.
They made the block. Yeah, so they had the block, Tim, where players would make their own sort of arenas in the block, and every week there's a specified spot on the map where a new created areas, a new player's block would appear in that area in the real map when you would play Battle Royale. So let's say Bless, they replaced one of the areas in Apex.
Like they replaced the King's Camp. Well, I guess King's. They replaced. I was gonna say Skull Town or whatever.
Yeah,
just imagine Skull Town's still there. They replaced it with whatever user created thing.
Every week that would be like, this is like a whatever 12 by 12 area in terms of like game space. All right, 3, 2,
Barrett, you ready?
1.
Yeah.
Going. Boot, dude. All right, go back.
And that new spot would have whatever people are creating.
See, the thing that I would like is if you just let us create arenas. I think that would be such a fun thing because like right now the game, like I was saying, the game is purely battle royale. If they did like give us like a creative mode where you could make your own modes, including a team deathmatch mode, and it was up to players to make arenas to actually fight in and make levels, I feel like that'd be such a fun thing to do. I do like the idea though of like doing the block type thing where it is here's an area of the map when it's in rotation. Every week we're updating it with the best version. You can even theme it after a character.
Yeah.
Like theme it after Loba or put in a character that has to do with like technology
Only
or
Loba.
geomod or only Loba. Yeah.
Only ever Loba. Good lord.
Bring back Sheriff Lobo.
Theme it after a thing.
Oh, dude, Fall Guys would be fantastic.
Oh,
yeah.
interesting.
That's a good
Yeah.
one.
To be able to do sort of really difficult Mario Maker type stuff with Fall Guys with extreme precision and timing and
Oh man.
crazy sort of, people are stacking this area with all the crazy obstacles. I think that would be an absolute blast.
You're the winner, Andy. That's a fantastic answer.
Yeah,
I want that now.
Yeah.
I can't believe this is taking this long.
And this is we've already updated. We've done the thing. We're through the initial Nintendo load. Now we're into the Animal Crossing.
And at
load,
this
and then
point,
we'll start to hit it.
you've texted your friends, you've cranked one out, like you're
I mean, I'll
already.
hit a Saga
much
90.
stuff.
huh?
I'll throw, since we talked about one of the summer hits of last year, another one because like people have fucked around with like different ways to play Among Us. I think Among Us would benefit from some sort of creative type of mode. Yeah, like an official capacity. I think that would be great.
Yeah, because that's the thing I fucked around with in Among Us too, is like the user created stuff, so you could do proximity chat and like finding different ways to play Among Us that are through unofficial methods. That stuff is always super fun. Honestly, like now that I think about it, the more I think about it, the more I'm like, okay, Greg finally made it in. No,
I didn't. Now I'm
What
hitting
the fuck?
A to go to my
He's
fucking island.
He's still got to go to the island.
I think
They're
so
li-
far pretty comparable in time.
I think in so many arena multiplayer games or like first person shooter or shooter multiplayer games, like that is just a nice option to have in general. Like I can imagine similar to what we talked about with Apex, Call of Duty Warzone doing a similar thing. Like having it be that, okay, yeah, you can create your own area within Warzone or create your own levels.
2 minutes and 24 seconds. So what was that? Like
10 seconds off or 5 seconds off, something like that.
Yeah, 8 seconds faster.
Here's the thing.
Andy, I
I'm
accept your apology.
utterly flabbergasted at this. I want to see someone else's Switch play Animal Crossing. Does anyone have it?
I don't have it installed.
Let me.
Switch.
You got it.
I can also just say, hey, I'm looking at the chat right now. Royal Martin, Nika Ash, L2 Larson. Here you go. Josh G says I'm about to time my Animal Crossing boot up. Josh G make a video of it, tweet it at Game Over Greggy and at Sadboy Barrett. And then
It's probably going to need to be multiple videos if it's comparable.
Yeah.
That's insane. Andy, with Forge mode in Halo, I know you played a lot of Halo during that era. Did you mess with Forge mode at all, both creating or playing anything?
Dude, I think Forge mode is just a little past my time. Like, because I remember Forge mode being a big thing when people were making kind of their red versus blue knockoff type thing because they would create their own little areas or whatever. The only things we ever did in Forge mode was like the zombies mode back in the day where you would one person's infected and
Survivor? Is that what it was called?
I mean, we called it zombies mode. One person's infected and they can only melee, and the other people have like obstacles they can hide behind, but they have BRs, and if the zombie kills somebody, then that person becomes a zombie and you switch teams. That's really all I ever did with Forge mode. I didn't really mess around with a bunch of other stuff.
What was the one where y'all had like the big hammer?
But yeah, that's the
Griff ball.
Griff ball. Yeah, that's the RVB sort of like Halo.
Sports.
Basically, like said, hey, this is a cool thing you all made for Achievement Hunter, Blitz or Griff ball. Let's do the same. I keep want to say Blitz ball.
Yeah, I remember fucking around with things
Blitzball,
like that
don't
with 3 a lot.
Yeah, nah, never messed around with that. Unfortunately, I don't know. I was all about just like put me in an arena, Tim. I need to be top fragger.
Hell yeah, dude. Click them
Give me the
heads.
pistol.
Blessing.
Give me a Hades dungeon master mode where I can basically make my own dungeon, like my own run of like dungeon rooms for players.
Kind of like Link's Awakening, right?
Yeah, similar to what they did in that.
Greg
but better.
But here's my question to the question as we go around trying to come up with this. I remember when UGC, user-generated content, was all the rage, and people were tossing this into their games left and right. Insomniac did it with Infamous, trying to give you a reason to keep going Infamous 2, and do stuff and challenges and yada, yada, yada. Is it worth the time? Like, I think the reason you haven't seen more people do it is because it's just so rare that it actually hits with an audience, keeps them around. Like Forage mode, I'm not talking shit about the ones that actually have found audiences within work, but even for like a Hades thing, is that really... I think so many of these games are games people want to get in, conquer, and then move on. They're not necessarily looking for an endless drip of content, something to run and do. Even when you look at something like, Little Big Planet before it really evolved into being crazy, with Little Big Planet 3 or 2, 3, and then what would go on to become Dreams.
I think Hades is something that it could have really worked for, just based on replayability and based on how Twitter kept on they kept on rediscovering it and saying like, oh shit, I should play Hades, right? Everybody loves
likes
Hades.
these Hades games, yeah.
I feel like every month we were seeing somebody having that. And I think just giving the players more options to keep on fucking around in that world, I would have definitely played. Like if let's say Maddie, the creator of Celeste, if she made a Hades world similar to like she did with Mario Maker, it's like, oh cool, I could play this other game dev's Hades world and Hades level. That's cool as shit. I love the idea of game devs branching out and sort of just making fun little things like that, in addition to just other users. But I think Hades is a world that would have greatly benefited from it. Not like it needed any more people playing it and shit.
The thing about Hades that I think is interesting, though, is that for me playing it, the map itself wasn't the thing that was really that interesting. It was like the enemies and stuff like that. Like, I don't really know what you'd be making that would make it feel that dynamically different than.
I think it would just be I think it would just be challenge. I think it would be enemy spawns. I don't think you'd be running into anything and be saying, wow, this is cleverly designed. I think it would just be more of, there's this many enemies in this room, and I also made a branching path to go over here and take on this boss if you want.
Yeah,
I think it would just be. I think it would be the difficulty challenge,
and then like also like what the rooms drop, and like maybe like designing of like you won't be able to get like certain items that you might need to be able to continue on for a couple rooms, so you have to like make sure to not be hit for a while and stuff like that. Like I think there's little things like that add to the challenge of it.
To answer both like Greg and Tim's question together, right? I think the key would be simplifying it as much as possible and making it so that it's both user friendly from the user side, and then you're going into it as a player. You also get a good idea of what you're jumping into, and so I think the way you would do it is make it so that you are, as the player or as the creator, you're mapping out what the room looks like, and then mapping out what each wave of enemy looks like for that room, and then like Andy and Barrett said, right? Like figure out, okay, if you go, once you finish this room, these two rooms spawn off, and you can choose which one you go to, and you can make that as long as you want as a creator. And marketing it, I think the way that you separate it from things that have kind of come and gone, I think that comes back to how much you push it and how much you get the community into it. Because I think, you look at something like Mario Maker, and Mario Maker was a big success because there was an actual hunger for it. Like people were actually coming to it to play Mario created levels. And I guess I assume this is the same thing that goes for Forge, even though I've not played much of Forge. But I assume people flocked to it because people liked Halo and people got a clear idea of what they were getting out of Forge. I think you could do that with Hades, because Hades has that similar social media engagement where everybody's all about Hades. Everybody loved Hades last year. It's gotten multiple Game of the Year awards. If you came through and you released that type of content, let's say mid this year, I think that'd be enough of a splash to bring people in and possibly ignite that in a way that for other games that stuff comes and goes because it feels buried. It feels like a second idea.
When we talk about the other day on Games Daily, I think it was me and Bless, and there was an announcement of new content coming to Ghost Runner, one of my favorite games from last year. I would definitely jump back into Ghost Runner if there were new levels being dropped, either from users or maybe the studio just said, hey, we made a couple levels. They aren't really story-based. They're just like fun challenge things. I would definitely go back to that instead of going back to Ghost Runner for new skins and like a time trial sort of thing. I want to just see new areas and have new challenges. Go ahead, Greg, from Kind of
You
Funny.
saw there was an update today, right?
No.
Press release reads: co-publishers 505, along with a whole bunch of other people, today launched free game modes in paid Metal Ox Pack for Ghost Runner. The free update launching today includes Kill Run mode, a game mode with strict time goals, and Dharma Tower's Greatest Challenge. In Kill Run mode, players slay enemies to add precious seconds to the timer, dash through sections as quickly as possible, and ascend to new heights on the leaderboards. Players can capture their most stylish moments in a whole new perspective with photo mode, break the fourth wall and the perfect angle in the thing. Metal Ox Pack celebrates the Year of the Ox with 4 new swords and gloves modeled after Confucian principles and virtues.
Yeah, see, the issue with that was I think I had
That's
already
just a mode, right?
Yeah, it's like do everything in the game faster now, which can be fun for some people, but I want to see new areas. I want to see new enemies and things of that nature. I don't really care about replaying it and try to go faster. Oh, we have an update right here.
Yes. Levi Larson, L2 Larson, in the live chat sent their video in, and they clocked it. The video itself is 1 minute and 27 seconds. 127 is what they're saying in the chat too. They are calling out that they have one of the new switches.
Gotcha.
So not the one I have.
Even right here, the thing that shocked me most was that the Nintendo Switch startup screen stayed on yours for like a minute.
Yeah.
Whereas here it would look like
it
more
was like
10
that was
seconds.
like 5 to 10 seconds. Yeah.
That's crazy.
I didn't know that was a thing.
Long though.
Damn.
Why is my Google Chrome just not working?
Chrome's been kind of butt the last couple weeks.
Kind of butt. The thing that I've always never really vibed with UGC stuff with is the curation, and it always kind of feels, or more often than not, it feels like it's just extra things to do as opposed to good things to do.
Right.
And, I feel like there are exceptions to that. I think it's really cool seeing levels usually that are either remakes of old levels in games or themed things of, hey, here's this level from this game remade in this or stuff like that, right? Like places in real life being made in the game. Like that's cool and nifty, but like I feel like it doesn't really add much more that I actually want to engage with the gameplay of whatever game, whether it's Smash Brothers or like Mario Maker or whatever. Like with Mario Maker, when there were these like creators and developers making levels, that's when it's great. When it's just people making things, the Rube Goldberg machine stuff's cool to watch and kind of fun to look at the YouTube playlists of all the crazy things people have done. But I'm way more interested in the people that take it really seriously, and the people that take it really seriously are usually off making their own games.
The people that do take it seriously, though, I will say that when you play enough of Mario Maker and you are looking up enough on different forums, you will find people that aren't developers or they're not off making real games and also making a little couple of Mario Maker game levels on the side. You will find the superstars in the community and say, oh shit, that guy makes crazy levels. I got to check out the rest of their library. And generally, I mean, more often than not, you're going to find a lot of fun levels from those people. And you'll see, like Grand Pooh Bear, who is a Mario Maker player and a friend of Snowbike Mike's. I know that whenever I would look at his levels, a lot of them would have Kaizo things involved in them, which is like the really, really tough sort of mechanical stuff that Mario throws at you. Like, the Kaizo not for me. I'm not at that level. But so-and-so is making crazy, really fun, precise levels the type of style that I enjoy. And you go look for those. Yeah. You will see the Dan superstars. Of the world. The Dan Reicherts, yeah. Although Dan Reichert's levels can be pains in the asses too.
All right, moving on. This one is a super fun one. This comes from SavageViolence. Do you think there is such a thing as a Snyder cut for video games? Like so much unused gameplay and story that could be re-released with enough fan demand. And I wanted to say, we're not going to talk about Metal Gear Solid 5. That's super obvious. Duh.
Well, hold on. My question is, does Metal Gear Solid 5 actually count? Because the stuff that got cut, right, is gone. It doesn't exist. They didn't make it, right? Like they never got to that point, isn't it?
I mean, is that Zack Snyder cut not the same thing?
No, Blez.
No,
like
Zack's movie was done. Thank you for paying attention to anything I've said over the past 8 fucking years.
Zack's 4-hour movie
wasn't done. It was not done.
Didn't they wait? They shot more stuff for it.
Yeah, the only thing that was new was that last scene with Joker.
They had to finish like their color corrections and effects.
Most of that other stuff was shot. It was just Joss Whedon who came in.
They also had to edit it.
Just shooting a movie doesn't mean that it's done. Like at all. There's so many other elements. I think with the same thing with designing a game, like just having certain elements designed doesn't mean it's more done than other things.
Yeah, like the rest of Metal Gear Solid 5 was written.
Sure, that I'm not arguing. Yeah,
and some of it you could run through it.
Yeah,
and
like some of it exists in like the bonus edition, right? Or like I forget what edition it came in, but you could watch some of Chapter 3 of Metal Gear Solid 5.
You see a homeboy, little kid on the fucking
little liquid,
little Eli. But yeah, I mean, the thing is, what to define it here? Like, what would a Snyder cut of video games look like? Because obviously, it's not 1-for-1 with movies.
It would be Silent Hills also.
Yeah.
I think that's another kind of obvious.
But that was never made.
Are you also tossing in Amy Hennig's Star Wars game?
Well, I was also going to bring in Amy Hennig's Uncharted 4, where she was the original director, and then someone else came in to kind of take her vision to a different direction.
That's really interesting. I'd love to see that.
I feel like that's more of a one-to-one of what video game Snyder cut would be.
That's a great point. Yeah.
The difference though is that Uncharted 4 is good.
Yeah, but like that doesn't mean like there can still be two different good versions of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's not like Justice League had one good version, you know.
We're basically just saying what games were canceled or had a muddy development and they got canceled. Yeah.
Alternate reality. Yeah. Yeah, I'd love to see what Amy's Uncharted 4 was going to look like. She had Todd Stashwick on it, right? Alan Tudyk. I'd love to see what they were actually up to, what they were.
Star Wars 13.
It seemed like they were going in a way different direction, obviously, from that original trailer, right? Where it was, it totally was going to be real dark, right? Because it was confirmed that Todd was Sam, and he's the voice in that first trailer they ever showed of it, right? And it seemed like Sam not coming back and being the cheery brother, even though he does put pressure on Nate. It was very much like, you left me in a hole to rot. And yada, yada, yada. And I've come back out now. And it's like, it seemed like he was going to be the villain. He's going to be the antagonist to go after him.
That's so interesting. I haven't thought about that trailer and how, it really is a lot.
Let me pull it up and bring it up. Yeah.
I remember that trailer like vividly and just like how different that could have played out. Andy brought up Star Wars 1313. I think about that game every month.
You have it scheduled on the calendar.
It's like my brain has an internal like a subconscious clock. That's like, all right, like in the middle of the month every month, you just have to think about this game and rewatch that trailer and think about what could have been.
I'm trying to come up with examples, and I'm trying to like think a little bit more close to 1-for-1 with the Snyder Cut thing, where it's not just a game that was canceled, but like a game that came out that could have been different.
Yeah, that had a vision.
It doesn't have to be story necessarily, but. And that's harder to come up with.
Oh, shit. I mean, Anthem was one of them. Cyberpunk. Cyberpunk, isn't it that the rumor was that they just finalized all of the detail in the last several months of the game, and that's why police officers don't act like police officers in the game. They don't chase you correctly, and they find you immediately because all that stuff was implemented so late.
Yeah, they spawn like pretty much like wherever, right where you're at.
Yeah.
Here's this.
Let's watch this Uncharted trailer together and remember 2013.
So long ago.
It was.
Some chains can never be broken.
Dude, we got last in 2013.
I lost 15 years, buried alive, erased. You left me rotting in that hellhole and never looked back. But you can't outrun the past. And when it catches up, when all your lies collapse around you, I'll be there, sifting through the wreckage. You owe me.
It's one of those things that I'm kind of shocked it's still up.
On the PlayStation channel, right? I mean, it's like Streisand Effect. Like, it's out there. It's done. Like, you can do it. I'm looking. I did a quick Google, too, to confirm all this. But, like, Sci-Fi Wire has the headline, Uncharted 4 writer reveals Nathan Drake's brother was the original antagonist. It was meant to be a little bit of a reunion it was meant to be a little bit of a return to form, Amy said at the finale. This idea that a lot of the story would be taking place on this undiscovered or forgotten pirate utopia island, and that the detective story that we could weave through all that. So all the beats, if you look at the chapter beats, with the exception of we didn't have the flashbacks to his childhood, and then we didn't have the Nadine character, but just looking at the break by break of the sort of chapters, like where they go, what was happening, that was all while I was there, she's saying. I'm sorry, I jumped into a paragraph there. Yeah, here it is. My take on it was sort of different. That it was a little bit more. I mean, I wouldn't call him the antagonist in the classic sense, but it was an antagonistic force in Drake's life that he then had to reconcile. So it was, complicated by stuff coming up from the past. So it's a little bit different than him showing up to you and saying, "Hey, bro, I got a problem." Then, of course, there was an antagonistic element to Sam in the final version of Uncharted 4, but it wasn't right there from the outset. So we kind of, in my story, it was a little bit more of the journey from the ghost of Drake's past being an antagonist to sort of a reconciliation, reunification.
Interesting. That wasn't even the trailer I was thinking about. I was thinking about the one where he's like, it's nighttime and he gets like washed up on shore.
Oh yeah.
Oh, isn't that like a straight up scene from the game?
Yeah, that's from the game.
Is it? Yeah. I don't know. I just remember that, but tonally, that feels way darker than the actual game is. Because like that scene when it's like a thieves end and like all that, it was like, oh shit, this is.
That was one of those like these are real time graphics. I couldn't believe that moment. I was like, this is not a cut.
Yeah, doesn't it pick right up like he washes up and then they kind of do like the camera swoop and it's the skeleton in the cage and stuff?
Yeah,
face looked amazing.
Yeah, this one.
Yeah, God, this is beautiful. And this was last gen.
This is like early last gen though. That's what's crazy about it.
Yeah, wasn't it? Was this
so cool?
2016 or 2015
when the game came out?
Yeah,
2016. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. 2016. Same year as Overwatch and Doom.
Okay.
God, remake Uncharted 1. Don't remake Last of Us, dude.
There you go. Now you're talking. Now
you're thinking Uncharted 1, baby.
Before we look at the Uncharted 1 trailer, let me tell you about our sponsors. This episode is brought to you by Candid. Are you unhappy with your smile? You don't have to be. Thousands of people have used Candid, the clear, comfortable, removable, and practically invisible aligners to help straighten their teeth, and now they love their smile. Earlier in this episode, I was talking about my friend James Burke. He has used Candid. Very, very happy with the results that he's seen, and I gotta say, his smile has never looked better. Candid is here to help straighten your teeth so you can fall in love with your smile too. Your treatment is prescribed and closely monitored remotely by a licensed orthodontist who's an expert in tooth movement. You'll have the same quality of care you get from an in-office orthodontist from the comfort and convenience of your own home. And while other companies use general dentists, Candid only works with orthodontists. With Candid, the same orthodontist who created your plan is with you from start to finish, so you never have to wonder how you're doing. The average Candid treatment's just 6 months. You'll start seeing results way before then, and it costs thousands less than traditional braces. I was looking at some pictures they sent over before and after, and I am like absolutely mind blown. Even if it's like little things that you're like, I can kind of live with it. It's like, doesn't take too much for it to be that much better. You can become your best you. Start straightening your teeth today. Right now, you can save $75 on Candid starter kit. You go to candidco.com/kindafunny and use kinda funny as the code. That's candidco.com/kindafunny, code kinda funny. Take advantage of this limited time offer to save $75 on your starter kit. candidco.com/kindafunny. Use the code kinda funny. Next up, of course, I want to give a shout out to Purple Mattresses. As the world becomes increasingly uncomfortable, we're all looking to get as much comfort as we can get in. And the thing you can always count on is how comfortable Purple Mattresses are. I know that as a fact. Joey Noel knows that as a fact. And even if you're not looking for a mattress, their pillows are unmatched. I absolutely love my Purple pillow so much that I've finally convinced Gia that she needs one too, and I can't wait for her to be sleeping as well as I've been sleeping. Purple is comfort reinvented. Only Purple has the grit, a stretchy gel material that's surprisingly supportive for your back and legs while cushioning your shoulders, neck, and hips. I don't know how it works, but it does, and it's fantastic. And I gotta say, my favorite thing about this Purple grid being in the pillow is it somehow always stays cold. I've never had to flip this pillow, and I'm a chronic pillow flipper in my life. But no more. The grid bounces back as you move and shift, and unlike memory foam, which remembers everything, that's why memory foam has craters and divots, so it's good. It knows you, and it's working with you. Right now, you can try your Purple mattress risk-free with free shipping and returns. Financing is available, too. Purple really is comfort for an uncomfortable world. Right now, you get 10% off any order of 200 or more. Go to purple.com/kindafunny10 and use promo code kindafunny10. That's purple.com/kindafunny10, promo code kindafunny10 for 10% off any order of $200 or more. One more time, purple.com/kindafunny10, promo code kindafunny10. Terms apply. And the final shout out I want to give today is to Honey. Thank you, Honey, for sponsoring this episode. We all shop online and we've all seen the promo code field taunt us at checkout. But thanks to Honey, manually searching for coupon codes is a thing of the past, baby. Honey's the free shopping tool that scours the internet for promo codes and applies the best one it finds to your cart. And it works for over 30,000 stores. I love it because it works for Best Buy when I'm buying Hue lights, but it also works for Etsy pages when I'm buying art for my dope room. Honey is fantastic. It has saved me thousands of dollars over my life. Kevin as well. Kind of funny as a company as well. It's just great. You don't need to think about it. You install it. It takes a couple seconds. Then you don't need to worry about it. Anytime you're checking out of a store, it just saves you money. It's awesome. If Honey finds a working coupon, you'll watch the prices drop. Next thing you know, you're really happy. And don't you want to be happy? I want you to be happy. If you don't already have Honey, you could be straight up missing out on free savings. It's literally free and installs in a few seconds. By getting it, you're doing yourself a solid and supporting the show. Get Honey for free at joinhoney.com/kinda. That's joinhoney.com/kinda. Let's look at that dude raider, Barrett. I want to see it.
The dude
raider.
What? Hold on. I gotta write down the time code for these ads. You know what I'm saying, Tim? You know what I'm saying?
I appreciate that.
I'm
gonna try to find this.
Real quick, what I'm seeing on, I tweeted out, hey, give me your times for Animal Crossing. I'm seeing a 1:30. I'm seeing more 2:30. Seeing two flat. Another 1:30. It seems like that seems to be, maybe it is a difference between the difference because mine's original Switch PS4. Idiot Greg, shut up, you fucking moron.
I just got an SSD.
I just got an
dude. Well, I mean, that's the thing about, like, you know, I know it's the first question we've moved on or whatever, but I'm super stoked for a new Switch and a bigger screen. And I don't even use my Switch that much, but to have it bigger for Animal Crossing and for Breath of the Wild and to have it run a little bit better and do different things, I'm all about it. Like, because that was the thing today when that is it blue, is it purple Switch Lite dropped. I was like, when I saw it in my inbox this morning, I was like, that's fucking sick. And like, if I wasn't sure there's another Switch coming momentarily, I'd pick it up.
I am definitely in the super consumer part of the Nintendo side of things, where I love tech and I love Nintendo enough and I want to be able to play it in multiple ways, where I love having my Switch, especially now in the pandemic, is docked all the time. And then my Switch Lite's next to my bed. And I'm able to it's inconvenient, but I am able to do the cloud save download thing. And it works about as well as it does anywhere else except Xbox, which is perfect. But yeah, it's I love the Switch Lite, and I'm very excited in the idea of the Switch Pro being it just lives docked system, which is why I'm really hoping for that 4K stuff, and also why the 720, the OLED screen is going to mean so much more. And that's the other thing is I want the 4K, I want HDR. HDR in these colorful Nintendo games could look so vibrant.
You're asking for way too much.
Yeah, right, I feel like the OLED screen.
We get HDR in 202029.
Yeah, I feel like
that's not how that works though. Like if they have the screen,
I'm just making fun of Nintendo.
But I'm saying like HDR, it's like that is just kind of, it's not built in, but it's like if they're doing those other things, like that is an easier thing to just have. But yeah, let's check this out. The E3 2006 first reveal of Uncharted.
Some things lost should never be found.
I thought that was in the trailer, Greg. That was a really good job.
Thank you. I'm available for everything that Andy can't do. Some curses cannot be undone. Wear a little jacket, Andy, put it on. On the trail of a legendary treasure.
Oh my God.
You see those leaves, you go, are you kidding me?
The hunter becomes the hunted.
This is why we have a cell processor, everybody, okay?
This is so funny.
Yeah,
God, I was blown away seeing this game for the first time when he gets his jeans wet and he gets out of the water and they're still wet.
Woo-wee! Audio listeners, you're missing out on a hell of a show right now.
They don't make them like this anymore, audio
It's
listeners.
so funny not having any VO at all.
Okay, good kick right there.
Dave Fennoy was still Nathan Drake.
Really? Shut up.
No.
I was like, I didn't know that at all.
Yeah,
Let
you
me
had me
do
for
a
a second.
roll
I was
right
like, wait a second.
Come on. I'll punch you in the face.
Yeah, when they announced this, it wasn't even called Uncharted yet, and so everyone just called it Dude Raider.
Yeah, I remember I was
so
at the
ironic because it's like everyone's like, oh, it's a Tomb Raider ripoff, and then years later, the reboot.
Yeah, shortly, I got hired, not obviously, in March or whatever, and I forget. I think it was a PlayStation event because we were in a bus. I remember being bussed down there, but maybe it was E3. I honestly can't remember anymore. But we were going there, and I remember Dunham having me, and I guess it must have been super early because Clemens wasn't on the team yet, but it was me, Jeff, and Roper, and we were breaking down for IGN what we were all going to cover, and they're like, "All right, Greg, you're going to cover the new Naughty Dog game," and it had some working title that I don't remember right now off the top of my head, and I'm sure I'll be mocked for not remembering. And I remember getting there and finding it. And it was the first time it had an Uncharted banner on it or whatever, and like playing it. And it's exactly what we're talking about. Like I remember all the games journalists crowding around it because of going into the water and coming out and having the pants be wet. And like, oh my god,
the tech involved.
Oh my
Cell
god,
processor, baby.
There's one more thing we need to watch. I was trying to find the working title and I found something even better.
Oh no.
God. While we're still on this question, one I'll throw out there that's I don't know if many people will vibe with this one, but this is one that I vividly remember. I remember there being a Star Wars Battlefront 3 and there being leaks of it. Yeah, and like seeing gameplay. And I remember
you're gonna go to space.
Yeah.
From
like
land.
I remember being so blown away by how good the graphics were. And that ended up not coming out and getting canceled. And we eventually did get the modern Star Wars Battlefront games, but I would like to see the original like Star Wars Battlefront 3, I guess the THQ cut or whoever was the pandemic cut.
Yeah, the pandemic.
Pandemic Studios cut.
Yeah, rest in peace, Pandemic Studios, bro. Right.
So what I found was the Uncharted working title Sony NGP reveal trailer. You know what the NGP is, Andy?
This game. For the basic operation,
the PSP?
I show you the analog sticks
the
and
Vita?
buttons.
Next
it's the
generation
Vita, man.
portable.
Next generation portable. I remember sending Clements to Japan to see this and a fucking Last Guardian.
Wow.
I'll never forget
At the
hearing
same
it
time?
had a quad core processor. I was like, are you kidding me? Our
There's the same
phones have
time,
dual core, dude.
Speaking of Last Guardian,
he went to see
wanna
Last
see the
Guardian, and
original.
then afterwards they showed this. They did this, and also it was May 14th, 2012 that we all went and saw this Uncharted game. So yeah, there you go.
Oh, look at the motion controls.
Not this one, the one.
Oh wow.
May 17th, 2007. Sorry, that's when me and the guys were on a bus going to see this stuff.
This is cool.
Funny.
It was just wild that like dual sticks, dude, OLED.
It's exactly what we wanted, right? And then they're like,
Sony
it
makes
also
the
has touch
sexiest
backs and
hardware.
touch front. We're like, whoa, wait, stop, no, please. Please don't do that. No, it does. And games are going to use it. We're like, fuck, here we go.
Amazing, dude.
I do
the
want to see
future.
the PS3 cut of The Last Guardian is another one I'd like to see. Just to see if it was different in any way. Or if it could even run.
I'm wondering if there was anything pre-launch that maybe No Man's Sky was trying out before it finally was like, we got to drop all these things, everybody. Like unless those things are just in the current version now, but I got to assume there were a lot of systems they were messing with pre-launch that just were not ready to be launched with,
Sure.
Yeah.
I mean, No Man's Sky definitely had all that, but it's tried to catch up on it, right?
Yeah.
God, it's
That's
funny
why I
to read
assume
this
they're just in the game now.
2007 first hands-on with Uncharted, right? It's Dunham writing it, but it's based on so much of what we're talking about. Additional realism tidbits include invisible checkpoints for post-death respawns, aimless blind fire shooting, a dynamic music system, AI that works together to try and outflank you, and some seriously realistic water effects.
Wow.
Seriously realistic.
Wow.
The
That
last
all
one,
just sounds so standard now.
I know, right? No, totally. And that tells you what it was in 2007, right?
The last one I'll shout out, and I actually want to show the trailer for this, is Ken Levine's version of Bioshock Infinite, because that seemed to have been greatly changed from like the reveal trailer.
Was Ken Levine ever taken off of it though? Like, isn't it the version?
Yeah, but like I feel like wasn't there stories of like how like higher ups like really wanted like a lot of things to change with that, and then that's what like forced it to
Box art and all that shit.
Maybe.
Yeah, so like
Because I do remember the trailer being so different from what the final product looked like.
Yeah.
With Bioshock Infinite.
yeah, like here's a Big Daddy, which they never show up in Infinite.
Yeah. Oh my God. This reminds me of Prince of Persia: Two Thrones, the third game in the trilogy of Sands of Time. there was a trailer released at E3 that looked dope as shit and had like crazy character development from the last games and stuff that looked really interesting. And then the final game ended up being nothing like it at all. And that was the E3 in June, and the game came out in November. So like there has to be some crazy story there where it's like, you know, at least with like Halo 5 Guardians, we got that teaser and the game ended up being radically different, but there were years in between that. Yeah, this trailer was so fucking sick.
Yeah, give me the original Watch Dogs from the trailer. You know?
Oh, you just wanted wet looking streets.
I wanted wet looking streets. I wanted the free running chases that were super graphically intense. I want all of it.
Cool. I dug through while you look at this, right? Great fucking trailer. The IGN archives. I got Clemence's article from January 27, 2011. First impressions of the next PSP. We play the NGP here in Tokyo. It's sexy. And it was.
Really
it was.
sexy,
You're right.
it was.
Thanks
so
for supporting
sexy.
it, everybody.
We made it happen. Let's move on. Let's
I still
find a
have
good
mine
one
in,
here.
in a box somewhere.
What's in the box?
What you got there?
Let's go with Gangster, who writes it. It says, "Where are all the funny video games at?"
Yeah,
I feel
That's
that.
a couple
I
weeks
feel
ago.
that.
Where
We're-
Jen want to know about these funny games. Where they
we were
at?
playing It Takes Two, right? And that was the thing of like, It Takes Two is really fucking funny and trying to be funny. And you don't see games try that enough, right? And I think they exist, but they exist in almost their own genres, right? When I think of a Tim Schafer game, which is usually what, an adventure game, point and click, something like that, I'm expecting it, right? Even something like Costume Quest, a game I adore, not point and click, but you know, turn-based action. Like that's where it feels like you have that pacing set up where you can make jokes easier. I feel like as games have gone real time, right, and it is an action game or whatever, it's way harder to hit humor because comedy's all about what, Blessing?
Timing.
That's right.
So
Yeah, like
never
you look
gets
at something like Borderlands 3, I think, you know, that got a lot of mixed reception in terms of the writing and the humor, because that humor is going to be for some people and
Subjective, right?
Yeah, it's subjective, and so there's so many people that are going to hear that humor or, you know, get the jokes and go, I don't like this. This is not for me. And I think that's so hard to do with the big budget thing. But when you look hard at like what the scope of video games are, like I think there are a lot of comedy video games if you just pay attention. Like South Park: The Stick of Truth came out, and that was probably one of the biggest game releases of that year because of how good it was, and also because it was 2014, which was not a great year for video games. But you know, like that game hit in terms of its comedy. You look at a game like Undertale, and Undertale hit, like that has a big fan base around it because the comedy and the writing hits so well. There's Jazz Punk, which is a great comedy video game. It Takes Two is a good one to point out. And right now we're playing Disco Elysium, which is far from a comedy, but does have good, funny writing in it. Like there's good comedy that's sprinkled all throughout the different types of games we play. But yeah, to Greg's point, you look at adventure games, specifically certain studios that have a focus on it, and I think that's where you get it the best and brightest, because Tim Schafer focuses on it. You play a game like Broken Age, and that game's hilarious.
To one of the things Blessing's saying too, where it's like you talk about, okay, well, South Park has comedy in it, or The Messenger has comedy, or Undertale has comedy in it. All that's true, but and I guess maybe South Park doesn't fit into this example. But I would go and say I don't think you're describing those games as, oh, this game is a comedy. Yeah, South Park doesn't work, right? But the others stick with me, you don't. Whereas with Joseph Fares in It Takes Two, right, he's been very clear of like, this is a romantic comedy. Like he's putting that out as what the game is and why you should play it. And I don't think you see many games go and say, oh, we're a comedy, right? We're an action RPG. We're a role playing game in general. Like they mix with it because that's how gamers consume it. I don't think you're seeing enough developers and publishers go, no, we're leading with the fact that this game is a comedy. And I think that's because of how we consume games and like games, but I think that's an interesting thing for why this is like this.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, do you think that would be appropriate though? Because Borderlands would probably be the one I would bring up in terms of that game. Like Borderlands is a comedy, but you would lead off by saying it's a first-person shooter action game.
I wouldn't. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, go for it.
I was gonna say I wouldn't do that, and I think that's why the Joseph Fares thing is such a breath of fresh air, because it's very different. I think gamers want to play games, and when you play a game, you're playing, and like, you know, as we went through Outriders the other day, bless, right? And you're skipping every cutscene. You're like, who's this guy or whatever? And like when I was playing with Mike, even he was like skipping every cutscene. He's like, yes, one of our friends had to leave. He called us animals. I'm like, I agree with him, but I'll help you out because I've seen these cutscenes. Like there are so many people who play Borderlands and it's just a looter shooter. It's just min-max. It's just getting that one gun with the one perk to go melt the boss. And that's awesome that they do that. But I think that you have to play as a publisher, as a developer, to what the audience is. And I think the audience that Borderlands is looking for is a looter shooter. Outriders is looking for is a looter shooter. And, you know, this is not just about looter shooters. It's about what are you trying to accomplish with your game. And I think Hazelight with It Takes Two was very much like we are trying to accomplish a funny game. Timothy Gettys.
To that point, though, like, isn't it just a co-op 3D platformer?
That's how I see it, yeah.
Because I wouldn't call it a comedy. You know, like, it has comedic elements. I think a big important thing too is at the end of the day, talking about genres is pretty damn stupid because everything's a little bit of this, a little bit of that. But since we're doing it, when we look at movies, even like I feel like comedies don't have nearly the level of like blockbuster that they used to have. Like we think of 80s comedies, 90s comedies, 2000 comedies. Like the comedy genre has kind of died out a little bit because I think it's similar to the RPGification of video games where RPGs aspects are in all video games. And I think the comedy aspects are just kind of like falling into all movies in the way of like MCU movies. A lot of them are comedies. You would never call them a comedy, but there's comedy throughout it, right? And I think that when you translate it to video games, I think it's just a little bit different where the writing and story and character matter more in video games now than they ever have. And people like being funny. People like hearing funny things. So I think they're just being written in a more comedic way. I mean, we've been talking a lot about Uncharted, but like Uncharted's really funny. You know, like Nathan Drake is a funny guy. He's charismatic and there are funny things that happen. It's definitely not a comedy, but there's comedic elements in it throughout enough.
Well, that going back to that pulp adventure thing and what they're trying to do, right? And what they always talked about. To your question of like, you know, isn't it just a 3D platform or whatever? Yes, but I think that if you were to sit down and play it, I think most people would be like, oh, this is extremely easy. And I think that's the pivot point there, right? Where they're trying to be like, oh, we're a romantic comedy game. So that you want that the idea there is that you're not going to hold it to the standards of a platformer and be like, oh man, this is so simple. These mechanics are so easy. Instead, you're going to sit there and you're coming in with it's a cooperative romantic comedy that is, I think they're trying to find a point where everything's enjoyable for you as a seasoned game player, but you can also bring in a friend or a significant other who hasn't played, and they're not going to be lost and they're not going to be unable to play.
So is it the
messaging there?
Is it the difficulty that changes that? Because when I think it's just good marketing. Like I think saying it makes it easy for you to tell your significant other who doesn't play games, hey, this is a romantic comedy. It's not really like super hard of a video game.
Great marketing, yes. I think that's why they're doing it. Yeah,
think of it as just like a movie, but it's still an easy-ish, 3D platformer with some cooperative elements,
100%. Yeah. And I think that's how you try to expand that audience, right? You try to get people in who are afraid of games because it does sound, I'm playing a JRPG. What's that? Like, you know what I mean? Like and they have to explain what that is and what that means. And there's a whole lexicon to it. Whereas if you take it a different direction and say a romantic comedy, it's something different.
Yeah, you break that open there. It's like, I mean, that's Jackbox entirely, right? Yeah, like those 100%. Whole things are, it's games for people, whether you're a gamer or not a gamer, it doesn't matter. Like they're inherently funny. At least a lot of them are. Like the goal of them are being funny in the way it's presented and getting you to be funny as well. And I think that's actually the key is the gameplay itself being funny. Like the thing that the game's trying to get you to do where you're part of it as well. Cause that's the point of video games is that immersion,
100%.
I think part of it too is that with video games, we lead off talking about their genre in terms of mechanics over tone and theme. Like Jackbox, we wouldn't call it a comedy game; we would call it a party game. And like when we talking about games as comedies, right? Like we wouldn't talk about a video game as being a thriller or a drama or a crime game. Like when we talk about Grand Theft Auto, we're talking about it being an open world action game, right? And even when we're talking about action games versus action movies, the reason why we call action games is because there is action involved in playing them, not necessarily because there are Michael Bay explosions or the reasons why we would call an action movie an action movie. Right? I think it's just the way we talk about video games differs in terms of genre than how we talk about movies.
Wow, this is huge. I'm just now opening Twitter, and there is an upgrade coming for Nier Automata on Steam. Oh my God! Finally, finally.
Now's your time. How many frames per second you getting?
I don't know, but the PC port's just been broken, dude. It's just like isn't good. You need a bunch of mods for it to work.
Also,
very exciting.
very important on Twitter. Poll was just put up. Should Andy put on his little jacket?
I'll vote in that.
The last question that we're going to do for this episode comes from Spunktier. And I'm going to say, I'm not liking the tone of this question. I feel it sounds mean-spirited. I'm sure he doesn't mean it mean-spirited, but
they never do.
They never do. So I'm going to take away some names here. I'm giving you some grade A fire content here. I'm not as old as some people are. But when do you expect modern video games to cater to old people's needs, like some people? Soon, in 10 to 20 years? Or will we see totally new genres for people that suffer from being old?
What the fuck does
I don't understand the shade he's talking about.
Yeah, I don't like the suffer is very.
Well, I'm taking out. I reread it and took out names, so it might have made it a little bit weird there. But what's being asked is, do we think that there will be new genres? It's not Nick, but will be the new genres made to cater to older gamers, like older experiences, people. Whether it's you have kids, so you have less time to play games or different attention spans, that type of thing.
Okay.
I think that's already happening, and you'll continue to see it, right? Where it's like, I think you're already seeing, accessibility, explode and go so much further than what we all had a narrow thought of it before, right? And accessibility obviously can be used for so many disabilities in terms of getting people in there. But I think also just that terminology isn't about that, right? It's about making games accessible, period. So older people in slower hands are going to be a part of that. And I do think, as I always talk about with my career and video games, that I've been lucky enough to mature and grow up with games, and what I mean, of course, is that games continue to get more mature and mature into different things and evolve in my lifetime. And that's one of the reasons I've been able to stick around in games and enjoy games so much. And so I fully believe that by the time, I'm pushing 70, that there will be plenty of games out there that I can still play, and popular games, AAA games that are coming out, and have accessibility options to be like, all right, cool. We're not just saying it's easy, normal, and hard, right? There are, what do you struggle with? Like if it is like, enemy AI and trying to get that right structure in there where you can still play this game and not play it and not be gatekeeped from playing it because of a quick time event or something like that.
The assist mode stuff, you know, when things get really granular, I love when games get granular as hell with their settings and options, where it's, hey, you could turn this on to just auto loot. You could turn this on to, have, again, we always talk about how great the Last of Us mode was, but the idea of you can make stealth a certain difficulty, you can make combat a certain difficulty, you can make exploration a certain difficulty. I love when games are that precise. Obviously, that comes with a much bigger budget, and not every studio can afford that, but just seeing the effort being made out there is really awesome. I want to imagine what movie podcasts were in 1927 and being like, do you think we will get sound anytime soon?
That's hella funny. Before we go, I do have one question I have for you guys. It's just a quick one. We don't need to get too far into it. But if Last of Us Remake is real, are you going to play through it? Bless.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, I already said yes.
Sorry. I didn't realize you were doing the name thing.
Andy?
Yeah, 1000%. I mean, I hope the gameplay is also remade.
Barrett?
That one's supposed to be a funny, snarky thing.
You got him, Andy.
I'm sorry I hurt your friend Neil Druckmann, Greg. I'm sorry I hurt your friend's feelings.
I imagine it would be something that I would start, but kind of like I'm.
No, you're finishing it.
I don't I played through that game a few times. It's one of those things, kind of under the Andy's camp, where it's like if gameplay isn't remade and even I don't know. It's like
I assume
what if it just plays like Last of Us 2 plays?
Then totally down.
Yeah,
let's fucking go.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing I brought up on PS Love You was you remember the flashback scene in Last of Us Part 2. Imagine a whole game that just looks like that.
I've said it a million times. Last of Us is one of my favorite games that I don't have fun playing, and I would love for it to control and feel more like The Last of Us 2, because I think that combat is stellar, and they improved on everything they needed to when it comes to just having the dodge, the locomotion of the movement and everything. It's just a fucking perfect feeling game.
Yeah.
So yeah, if they do that, plus I am such a sucker for. I will be there minute one that Digital Foundry drops the comparison video.
Oh, yeah,
Of
yeah.
here's how this scene looks here.
Like,
Here's
I'll-
how this scene looks here. Like I'm such a suck for that.
I'll watch
shit.
that video for sure. Because for me, for both of them, like I love both part 1 and part 2, but I hate playing them. And not because of like technical stuff, but more so just like it stresses me the fuck out. So I think it'll really depend on like where my headspace is at when that game comes out. Of like, am I really in the mood to go back to this universe kind of thing?
Mm-hmm.
My question is, talking about how it plays is actually really interesting, especially with Andy talking about like ducking and dodging the stuff that's in Last of Us Part 2. I wonder if they're going to implement that stuff, because a big reason why they implemented it was because Ellie is a more agile character than Joel. And if you're playing as Joel, you're probably going to go back to being more heavy and more aggressive. And so thinking about it with the gameplay of Last of Us Part 2, I wonder if you are going to have the proning and crawling beneath cars, doing all the shit that you could do in Last of Us Part 2.
I've already
I
said
imagine that
dash
there
and
will
parry
be
mechanic.
some stuff like exactly. There you go, dash and parries. I think they'll do some stuff like that. I think that they would then change the elements around the game so that it doesn't break it, so we don't have a twin snake situation with Metal Gear Solid.
Hear me out. You play Last of Us Remake, you actually play as Ellie instead of Joel. Yeah.
Wow.
It's a Final Fantasy VII remake. Shit.
Oh yeah, dude.
Whoa.
Tim, I brought up.
That-
I think it was like, what was it? P.S. I Love You. I was like, and like we get some different scenes, and then they bring in a bunch of ghosts that are trying to correct the timelines and shit.
Hell
Let's
yeah,
do it.
man.
Ellie doesn't
Let's
do
fucking
that.
go.
On a more serious,
Ellie doesn't
someone.
do that.
I think
Silly.
someone in our
Silly.
subreddit asked the question of like, do you think that they'll try to interweave Left Behind into the main game and make it as like one whole story and not like two separate things?
100%.
Really?
Interesting.
This has been the Kind of Funny Gamescast. We'll be back next week. Are we going to talk more about Last of Us? There's a good chance. We're going to talk about Uncharted. We're going to talk about a lot of Naughty Dog stuff because we fucking love them.
Yeah.
But you can get this show, like I said earlier, in all the places you need to be. YouTube.com/kindoffunnygames, roosterteeth.com, podcast services, search for Kind of Funny Gamescast, or patreon.com/kindoffunnygames.
He's doing it. He's getting the
where
jacket.
you
He's
can
getting
get
his little
the
jacket.
exclusive post show that we're about to record right now with Andy in his little impossibly small jacket.